Could be. So we're at chapter 6, Eis Vav, in the Maimer from Tafshin Yud Zayin, Basi Legani, on page Chaf Aleph in your booklets. To get back up to speed where we're at, really we don't have to go through everything we've read till now, because we're moving on to the second half of the Maimer here. Chapter 6 starts the second half of the Maimer, which focuses on the second half of the Frierdiker Rebbe's chapter 7, his Maimer, which is the material which this Maimer is based on. In the beginning we spoke about Ois Dalid, the letter Dalid, and how Dalid is a holy letter. And the evidence of this is that the Dalid has a Yud behind it. And the significance of the Yud is Bittul. So we said that there are three aspects to this. There's the Yud, anytime you have a giver and a receiver. There's the Bittul of the receiver to receive from the giver. You have to be submitted and open to receive. Then there's the bittul, the yud of the giver, which is that for somebody to give, they need to put themselves aside and put somebody else before them in order to give to them. So you have the bittul of the makabel and a bittul of the mashpia. And then we said that yud also represents yisoid, the level of yisoid, which means connection, bonding. And so you have the giver putting himself aside, putting the receiver before him. You have the receiver opening himself up to receive. And then you have the two coming together, where they bond, they fuse together. The giver and the receiver unite. The second half of the Maimer then turns to the letter Reish, which is on the other side, the flip side. You have the Dalet is on the holy side, the Reish is on the unholy side. What's the meaning of... And Dalet, as we said, Reish and Dalet have the same meaning. They both mean poor. But Dalet is a healthy poor, a holy poor. And the Reish is an unhealthy, unholy poor. And so the Reish is the focus of the second half of the Maimer. And what we begin by explaining, so the Reish, ultimately we're going to explain the Reish has nothing. A Reish, somebody who's called a Reish, somebody who's destitute and poor, has nothing. What does this mean? So that's the subject of the second half of the Maimer. But to understand why the Reish is poor, why the unholy has nothing, he explains that it has to do with the fact that the Reish lacks Yisoid, doesn't have this Yud of Yisoid that we had just finished talking about in the first half of the Maimer.
So what is it?
It doesn't have that connection. In other words, there's no connection between the giver and the receiver. There's no personal connection. There's no intimacy there. And since there's no connection, therefore the Reish lacks, everything has nothing. Now, what's interesting is, if you look in the we've mentioned this before as we've gone through the Maimer. If you look at the chapter 7 of the Frierdiker Rebbe's Maimer, which this Maimer is based on, it seems like he's throwing a bunch of ideas at us that don't seem connected, and the Rebbe is sort of opening it up to us and explaining it to us, and how one idea flows to the next. So first we were confused as to why he talks about the Yud being bittul. And if Yud is bittul and Yud is tzimtzum and Yud is chachma, and then we said that Yud is yisoid. They seem to be random ideas that they all even seem to be contradictory. So the Rebbe has explained to us how one leads to the other. Another interesting thing is now when the Frierdiker Rebbe turns in his Maimer to talk about the Reish, he says that the Reish has nothing, and also the Dalid represents dibur, speech, and in unholiness silences it. So what are we talking about? This is almost as if it seems like he forgot to mention while we were talking about the Dalid represents speech, which is revelation, and then we're off. How would you know?
Because it still says we have one viewer.
Okay, so the Reish is already it's seemingly a new topic, and then he goes back and says, "Oh, the Dalid." So it seems to be out of sequence a bit. So in chapter 6, the Rebbe is going to explain why talking about the Dalid, meaning dibur, speech, sort of a new... how that actually sets us up to understand why the Reish is nothing. In other words, to be able to understand why somebody who's lacking the Yisoid, if the unholy that's lacking that connection has nothing, we have to understand the impact that the unholy has on the holy. How that severs that connection. That's expressed in this idea of dibur, that Dalid also means dibur, speech, and that the speech is concealed. So that's the subject that we're going to get into chapter 6, and then 7 and on, we move into the aspect of the Reish having nothing. But here the Rebbe is explaining how the idea of bringing Dalid as Dibur into the conversation when we're talking about the Reish is necessary for us to understand the Reish, to appreciate the idea of the Reish having nothing. So let's start again on. Actually, is this for you? On Thursday we started reading the first paragraph of chapter 6, but let's take it again from the top of chapter 6. Okay, so it's chapter 6 on page Chaf Aleph in the booklets. So the previous Rebbe continues in his Maimer, in chapter 7 of the Maimer, Shekol Hanal Huba is Dalit Shemesitu Kedusha. All this which we said before, which is that there's the three aspects of the Yud, that the Dalit has a Yud, that it represents the bittul of the Makabel, the bittul of the Mashpia, and the Yud represents Yisoid, the connection, the fusion between the two. That's all on the holy side. Whereas on the other side, the unholy side, Ois Reish, which is Ois Reish, the letter Reish belongs to the side of L'umazah, of the unholy. Al Zeh Namar v'L'Rosh Ein Kol. The Rosh, which means somebody who's poor, and again, Rosh is obviously Reish. Like the word Reish means Rosh. Somebody who has nothing is Ein Koil. Of all the things that the Pasuk could have used to describe the Rosh as having nothing, he uses the term Ein Koil. He doesn't have this level of Koil, which, as we said, She'ein Lahem Bechinas Koil. Koil means not that he doesn't have anything, but he doesn't have this idea of Koil. Ki Chol B'Shamayim V'Aretz, which, as we said, Koil is Kol B'Shamayim V'Aretz, Lachem B'Shamayim V'Ara, Hainu She'elam Sviris HaYisoid HaMechaber, U'Mishum Zeh Ein Lo Kol Kipshutoi, Ba'im is Kein Zachnita. We explained that Yisoid is Koil. Yeah. We explained that Yisoid is Koil. We talked about, we say in davening from Divrei Yamim, Vayvarech David, Des Hashem Leini, Kol HaKol Vayim David, Ucha Hashem Agdula, V'Agavura. So there David HaMelech is listing the 7 attributes, starting with Chesed, and he lists all of them. So Gdula is Chesed, Gvura is Gvura, Tiferes Netzach, Netzach, Hoid. And then he doesn't say Yisoid and Malchus, he says Kichol B'Shamayim V'Aretz, L'cha Hashem HaMamlach V'Amisnasei L'chol Reish. So L'cha Hashem HaMamlach V'Amisnasei, that's Malchus, that's obvious. What's Yisoid? Yisoid is Kichol B'Shamayim V'Aretz. And first of all, Kichol, the words Kichol is a gematria of Yisoid. Kichol is gematria Yisoid, but also the Targum translates Ki Choil B'Shmayim V'Aretz is the Achid B'Shmayim V'Aretz. So Choil represents Yisoid, represents a unification. Achid B'Shmayim V'Aretz, it brings heaven and earth together. Shemayim is Chesed and Gvura. Shemayim is Eish and Mayim, which represent Chesed and Gvura, and that represents all the other previous 5 attributes, because those are the primary 2 of the 6. And so Shemayim is Eish and Mayim, Chesed and Gvura, and Aretz is Malchus. So Yisoid is Kol B'Shmayim, is Achid Shmai V'Ara. Yisoid, Koil, unites heaven and earth. So that's what we said. So when we say, the Pasuk says, L'Rosh Ein Koil, the Reish doesn't have Koil, it means the Reish doesn't have Yisoid. He doesn't have that Yud. And that's why, since he doesn't have that Yud, he doesn't have Yisoid, this uniting aspect and attribute. Therefore, he doesn't have anything even literally. He's literally poor, has nothing. This is the opposite of what it says about Yaakov. That Yaakov says, Yeshli Koil, I have Koil. He was saying, I have everything, meaning he had a lot. He was doing very well. But he says, I had Koil. He has Koil. He has this idea of Yisai. That's holiness is Koil. And then the Friedrich Rebbe adds another thing, which is Sha'ois Dalid, who Gamelosh and Dibur. Dalid is from the term Dibur, speech. This is another reason why Dalid is from the holy side. Shemeir al Gilu, the Dvaravaya, represents Dibur's speech is revelation. It represents the revealing the speech of Hashem that animates everything, that gives everything life. That through this speech of Hashem, everything was made possible. So Dibur's speech and revealing the revelation of that speech means revealing the godly energy that animates everything. So again, as we said in the beginning here, the introduction, we're starting to talk about the Reish. The Reish is nothing. Then he says he adds another thing in the Reish, that Dalit is also Dibur, which is the holy side. Why does that have to do with this here? So we'll get into that. On the other hand, when we talk about the unholy, especially when the unholy is overpowering and overbearing, it causes that speech also should be hidden. Like the pasuk says, I was silenced like a mute, I was quiet, I was silenced. So the pasuk says, David HaMelech is talking about all the tsaros and the problems that he has, and he says that things are so bad that even the good he can't even speak about. He can't even speak about the good. So the pasuk means, these words, means that even, we're trying to bring out that unholy, the umazah, causes a helim in the dibur, the dvar Hashem, meaning even on the holy side, the dibur becomes hidden, concealed. And that's from the pasuk Nalamti Demiach Sheisi Mitoiv, that even in the Tzadak Kedusha, the unholy, the Isgabras of the Lumazah causes it to be concealed. Yeah. Now, so the Rebbe says we're going to understand what's the connection between the two. We're talking about L'Rosh Ein Koil, we're talking about the Reish has nothing, and we started by saying that there's the idea of Dibur, that it causes the Hel and the Hester of Dibur, that Dibur, the speech, the divine speech that animates, is hidden. What's the connection? How do we understand it? So he says, we'll understand it. We can understand it by first understanding the other side, which is what will happen. When Mashiach comes, when we'll have the correction of the tzimtzum of that concealment. On La'asid Lave, when Mashiach comes, it says that all flesh will see Kipi Havaya Diber, that it was the mouth of Havaya, of God, that spoke. So if you do adig bazeh, harei hisavas ha'elam b'dibur yizbarach basar maris yimishem elikim davke v'yimer elikim u'ma'o emer v'ro goymer kipi havaya diber. The pasuk says that when Mashiach comes, we're going to see that it's kipi havaya diber, that Havaya spoke. Yud kevavke, the shem Havaya spoke everything into existence. In other words, when Mashiach comes, we'll see the true reality of all existence, which is Havaya, the pi Havaya. That'll be revealed then. Now it's concealed. Now we don't see. Now we see creation as something separate from Hashem. The divine energy that animates it is concealed. We don't see the Dvar Hashem that's in the thing. We see the thing. We see the thing. So the question is, how could it be that when Mashiach is going to come, we're going to see that it's Pi Havaya Diber, it's not Havaya that spoke the world into existence. The pasuk says, Bereshis bar Elikim. And then throughout the description of creation, it says, Vayomer Elikim. Elikim said. Elikim is, as Rashi points out right in the beginning of Bereshis, it's Gvura, it's Tzimtzum, it's concealment. So the world is created from where? From Shem Elikim. If we're talking about which name of Hashem, which aspect of Hashem creates, it's Elikim, not Havaya. So how do we say that when Mashiach is going to come, we're going to see that it's Pi Havaya Dibur? Where did Havaya come from?
Why does switch it out?
Yeah, in other words, is it a new reality? So that's the question. Ach inyan hu k'mayshim varad moram tzoi al pasuk halus havayim min hashamayim halu b'mreimim halus havayim min ha'aretz gamer ha'chaya v'chol behema gamer. We say this every day in davening from Tehillim. So the Mittel Rebbe explains on the pasuk halus havayim min hashamayim that we praise Havaya Yud Kei Vav Kei from the heavens, and then he goes through everything. Shamayim, and then he goes through Aretz and everything in between, animals. Shakol Prate and Ivroim b'Shamayim v'Aretz ad lamata mata mahalim l'Shem Havaya. Everything in creation, all of creation praises Havaya. So the question is, the l'chayra any move on eich shaykh shen Ivroim sheishavusa m'Shem Elikim yahalos Shem Havaya. How is it that created beings that are created from Elikim could be mahalo Havaya? How do they praise Havaya? In other words, what insight do they have into Havaya that can cause a Hilul Shem Havaya? How could they praise Havaya? What do they know from Havaya? They come from Elikim. Bishlem Amiris Kodesh 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 Havaya Shepirushay Muvdol Shechas Gam Minivrim Shis Havaya Desam Amaris Shem Elikim. We say Kodesh 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 Hashem Tzvois, right? Kodesh 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 meaning He's holy. Kodesh means Kodesh Muvdol, He's separated, so that a nivra, that a creation created from Elikim should be able to say Kodesh Havaya, that Havaya is removed, That's understandable. There's no question there because we have no concept of Havaya. We're from Elikim, so we can say Kadosh Havaya. But how do we say Yahalalu as Shem Havaya? How do you say, how we Mahalal Shem Havaya? Shaykh is Gamim Shizav Yasam. What is Shem Elikim? Kivin Shagam Shem Elikim, Yichayim Lavi Lahakara, the Kadosh Havaya. Shahavaya Hu Kadosh Muvdal. Even when you're created from Elikim, you could still come to the realization that Havaya is beyond, is removed. Av Mashinemar B'chol Prate Hanivraim. Halalu as Havaya. Ba'ad Shafilu B'Maselim Ksiv Halalu Havaya Kol Goyim. And in moving Ech Shaykh Hahilul the Shem Havaya, it's only Vrem Sheis Havus. How is it possible that you can have Hilul Shem Havaya, which shows on some kind of a connection, some kind of an approach, an understanding, an insight into it? Obviously, Yahalalu, to praise, implies in a way of beyond, that he's sort of beyond you. But still, there's already a connection. There's already some kind of an insight and understanding that causes the Hilul.
Can you understand, though, how great it is that you praise it then? You understand how little you are, how separate.
Here, I think Kadosh Muvdal, when we're saying you don't even have Yediyas Hashlila, you don't even know what it isn't. It's just beyond. Even if you want to say Yahalalu is without an understanding, but even an understanding of that you don't understand should be beyond the capacity of something that comes from Elikim. Even a negative, right, but I'm saying even a negative understanding of it should also be something that's beyond, something that comes from Elikim. What insight could we have in one way or the other to Havaya? Why do we care? That's a good question. So we're trying to get to explain, we're working our way towards understanding why the Reish, why unholiness has nothing. And we said, Friedrich Rebbe introduces it by saying that Dibur is hidden. That in Kedusha you have Dibur where it's revealed, you could see the Dvar Havaya, you could see that, but unholiness covers it, conceals it. So we're working our way towards understanding that point. So the first thing is to appreciate it, we ask the question, how is it possible that we have access to Havaya? So then how is that possible that we get to Havaya? So we must say that we actually have a connection, that really creation does come from Havaya. So, Mevar Barucha, or on page Chav Beis. Mevar Barucha, al pi ma shekosav yedaytei, v'shavei salavacha ki Havaya, hu elikim, v'isa bezoyar da Havaya, v'elikim kol achad, shu ikar dekela, v'lochin gam hishavos hanivroim m'shem elikim, hi ba'ofen shavaya v'elikim kol achad. So he says that the pasuk says, you should know today and put it on your heart, ki Havaya hu elikim, that Havaya is elikim. What does that mean? So the Zohar explains what that means. Havaya Elikim, meaning that Havaya and Elikim are one. That Havaya is the foundation, is the ikar of everything, including of Elikim. And therefore, even when creation comes through Hashem Elikim, it's in a way that Havaya and Elikim are still one. It's just that Elash Hashem, still we say, Bereishis bar Elikim, Vayomer Elikim, so it's just that Elash Hashem Elikim, hu al derech mogim v'nartek l'shem Havaya. It's just that Elikim is like a shield and a covering over the name Havaya. As the pasuk says, that just as the sun and its shield is Havaya and Elikim. The sun is too powerful, too hot to give life to this world. If it was unleashed in all its energy, it would burn up all of creation. It would be nothing. In order for us to take advantage of the life-giving energy of the sun, we need a magin and aitik. There has to be a shield around it, a covering on it. And so that covering, so there's the sun and its covering, shemesh and magin. So the same thing is true. That's what the pasuk is telling us, shemesh and magin of Elikim, that just as there's the shemesh, but in order for the shemesh to give, for us to benefit for existence to be possible, you need a magin, it needs a covering. So the same thing is Havaya and Elikim. Havaya, if Hashem creates the world just through the name Havaya, it wouldn't exist. It would have no independent existence. It would be totally consumed in that energy. So just as the mugging covers the sun in order for us to be able to benefit from the sun, the same thing is true with Elikim, that Elikim is the cover, conceals Havaya for there to be that existence. So Elikim conceals Havaya.
Came from Shem Havaya also.
So right, so everything. So just as the energy, everything that comes from the sun, we're getting solar energy. We're having the energy from the sun. It's just that in order to harness that energy, it needs to come through the shield, through that covering. Since, as we said, that Havaya and Elikim are one, the pasuk says Havaya hu Elikim, and as the Zohar explains it clearly, that Havaya Elikim means that it's one, it's kul achad, and that Havaya, that the true nature of Elikim is Havaya. So therefore, since the concealment is a concealment from holiness, Elikim is also a name of Hashem, so therefore, even though it's concealing, but we could ultimately get back to Havaya through Elikim.
If you were to compare the sun to Havaya and Elikim is the way the sun shines in this world, and how things grow, and Havaya is the way the sun is in the source.
Yeah.
It's the same sun.
Right. It actually, Chassidus brings that this pasuk is it's a mashal mechuvin, that is a very good analogy. This shemesh and magin Havaya Elikim it fits very nicely to explain this idea.
It's not two separate things, just how it's expressing it.
Yeah, well, it's so we get to Havaya through Elikim. So therefore, we answer the question: how is it possible that you can be Mahal Shem Havaya if the creation comes from Elikim? Because we know that even the creation through Elikim, really the inner dimension of that is Havaya, and so therefore we have the access to it since Elikim is a name of Hashem. So we can reach that. So that the truth is, though, ultimately Bisman Hazeh we can't really reach Havaya. We only see Elikim, we only see concealment. That's a different point. The point we're trying to make here is simply that Havaya, that Elikim conceals Havaya, covers Havaya. Omnam kolzo b'zman hazeh. This is all nowadays. Nowadays, the only way we can get to Havaya is through Elikim. Nowadays, it's on b'zman hazeh. It's only possible to access Havaya through Elikim. What's going to happen when Mashiach comes? First, in the question we said, creation now is from Elikim. So what does that mean? That when Mashiach comes and we say, so it's going to be a new creation? Creation is now going to be from Havaya, unlike Bisman Hazeh that's from Elikim. He says, no. It's the same creation. It's just that now the only way to have it, to maintain that existence, it's only through Elikim. But when Mashiach comes, we're going to be able to uncover it. The Maitzikama Minatika is going to say.
We're not going to uncover it. Hashem is going to uncover it for us.
He's going to uncover it, right? It'll be revealed. Shakadosh Baruch Hu Maitzikama Minatika. Hashem is going to take the sun out of its covering. Meaning that the Havaya is going to come out of the shield and the covering of Elikim. Then we'll be able to see Havaya as it is itself. That it's Havaya that's speaking. So now we can only see Elikim. We can't see the Havaya. That's concealed. The Devar Havaya is concealed. This revelation is not just going to be for Yidden, it's not just going to be in heaven, but it's going to be for all of creation. All flesh is going to see. Not only souls and angels, all flesh. Even, it'll penetrate even to the lowest forms of creation, that even they will be able to recognize the Pi Havaya Diber. In the story of the Aron was captured by the Plishtim, and they kept it with them in captivity, and suddenly they were hit with all kinds of plagues and problems, and things were getting very bad. And they speculated, they assumed it's probably because they have the Aron and they probably shouldn't have it, so they should send it back. So they weren't sure what they should do. So maybe they should keep it, maybe it's not from the Aron. So they said, we'll put the Aron on wagons and we'll let it go. And if it goes back to where it belongs, so we'll know that that's why we had problems. If it just sits there, we'll know it's not because of that, but some other, mikrahu, it's just some kind of a random occurrence. So they put the Aron onto a wagon, and it was led by cows. And it says, Vayisharna haparis, that the cows went straight. They went straight back to the Eden, and it returned. So the Gemara and the Zohar say, Vayisharna haparis, like an interesting phrase, Vayisharna haparis. So Vayisharna haparis, it says that the paris sang. And the Gemara gives a bunch of Amiroim that say, what did they sing? What was it that they sang? So a bunch of different psukim. One of the psukim, I think Rish Lakish says, Shiru la'havaya shir chadash. Vayisharna haparis, the paris, Amru Shira, they sang Shira. My Shira Amru, what did they sing? Chulu Shira la'havaya shir chadash. What's the significance of this song? Shira la'havaya shir chadash, sing to Havaya, a new song. Shazu yashir l'asad lavei. Kedisa b'medrash, shashir l'asad lavei, shaz tiyeh geula, she'ein acherea, golos u'lashon zachar. Shira la'havaya shir chadash. It's the Shir Chadash. Exactly, not Shir Chadasha. When it says Shir Lashem Shir Chadash is Lashon Zachar. That's the masculine form. Shir Chadash would be the feminine form. So the final redemption is referred to in masculine terminology because it's a final redemption. It's not going to be followed by any exile, and so therefore it's referred to in the masculine term. And so therefore the Medrash says Shir Hashem Shir Chadash, that is a shir, that is a song that relates to La'asad Lave, to the time of Mashiach. So this idea of Aishar Na Paris, that the Paris sang, what they sing is Shir La'asad Lave, meaning that it was sort of a taste of the time of Mashiach, the time of redemption, when even the Paris will sing Shira. They'll acknowledge Shir Lahavaya. They'll be able to recognize, identify Havaya.
Even they will be able to recognize Shira.
So the speech, so in other words like this, the Eibusha creates the world with speech. Nowadays all we see is the Dvar Elikim. We only see Vayomer Elikim, meaning it's concealed. Really Dvar Havaya. Really it's Pi Havaya Diber. B'Dvar Havaya Shemayim Nasu. The world is created from the word of Havaya. But nowadays, we don't see it. We don't see the Dvar Havaya. We see only Elikim. So, now in this time of Galus, in a time when L'umazah, when unholiness is rampant, and all over the place, the Dvar Havaya is concealed. The Dibur is concealed. That's the meaning of the Dalid, which represents Dibur being concealed in Elamti D'Mei Cheshesi. How are we doing on time here? We're doing okay. Yeah, what? This just represents the idea of Yishar Na Paris, that Paris will be able, that even the cows are singing a Shir Lashem, Lavaya. The idea of Virol Kol Basar Yachtav, that when Mashiach comes, even the lowest form of creation, all of creation will see the Dvar Havaya. In other words, the Dvar Havaya will be revealed completely, not just to some aspects, but everything, all of creation will see the Dvar Havaya. So then the Dibur Ha'elyon will be revealed. The Dvar Havaya, the Dibur will be revealed. That's when there's no unholy. When there's no unholy, everything, you're all called Basi, Yachtav Givya Vaya Diber. Okay. The next paragraph on page Chav Gimel. So first we explain that when Mashiach comes, we'll be able to see the Dvar Havaya will be revealed. Now, what's the status now? Now, in the time of Golus, we have the opposite entirely. The Eibusher's speech is completely hidden. Like the pasuk says, I was silenced as a mute. I was silenced. Nalamti loshin ilem, a mute. I can't speak. Shezo hepech in yadibur. Ukefisha mefarishat tzemach tzedek shezo gam mishbizman hagolus ksiv kirachol lifnei geizezeh ne'olama. The Tzemach Tzedek explains the pasuk kirachol lifnei geizezeh ne'olama. The pasuk in Yeshaya says that the Yidden are the nations of the world. The marvel at the Yidden. Well, there are a lot of Mefarshim that explain this in different ways, but the point is that one of the things is that just as a rachel, a sheep, when it's being shorn, when it's being shaved, and its hair is being cut, it's quiet in front of its shearers. That's not what Peter says. No, when you shear the sheep, I'm not talking about slaughtering them. First it says, Ketzayin latevach yuval. That's the first half. But the pasuk says, Kirachal al geizezeh ne'olama. That the sheep... We're talking about the persecution, that we're being persecuted and we're quiet. But the sheep need to be sheared. But when a sheep is being sheared, it's silent. So what does this mean? So let's talk about it outside and then we'll read it inside. It explains like this. Rachel is Yidden. The sheep, Yidden are compared to a Rachel, to a sheep. Geizezeh, it's shearers. So we're going to explain soon that it's hair, what you cut the hair. Hair represents a limited amount of energy. Hair comes from, that's why when you cut your hair, it doesn't hurt. Because even though if you cut a part of your body, it hurts terribly. But when you cut your hair, it doesn't hurt. Why? Because even though hair comes from you, it's a living being that has your life energy in it, but it's such a limited life energy that you don't feel it. It's as if the life in it is completely hidden, and therefore you can cut your hair and not even feel it. So he's going to teach the pasuk like this. He explains like this. When the Rachel, when Yidden are in a situation where there's geizezeh, when unholiness is cutting its hair, when unholiness is sapping energy out of it, is taking energy. And what kind of energy? Energy of hair, a limited energy. A chitzonius, the chitzonius, as we're going to say soon. Then it's nalama. In other words, when there's unholiness, and the unholiness is accessing that energy, then the sheep is nalama, it's quiet. The idea of dibur is hidden. The idea of speech is hidden, right? Does that make sense? So let's read inside. So the Tzemach explains like this. The Rachel who can Yisrael, Spheres HaMalchus. So Bisman HaGolos, She'az Yeshem Geizezeh, in the time of Golos, when you have the shearers, meaning the unholy, that's taking energy from holiness, because even unholiness gets all its energy from holiness. HaGeizem B'chinas Shaydish Shalah, it cuts, it's here, Hareu Nalama, it's quiet. She'b'chinas HaDibur, She'b'asar Mamaris, She'b'chinas Shtika V'dumiyah. The energy, the divine energy is silent. And the energy that comes through the here conceals the speech, conceals the dibur. So again, we're talking about that nowadays, Bisman HaGolos, when you have unholiness, you have Lu'umazah, dibur is hidden. So when you have that, and when there's here being cut, meaning when there's unholiness that's getting its energy from Kedusha, the Kedusha is silenced. The dibur, the Dvar Havaya is silenced. This making sense? We're following? Why is it called here, Cyrus? So he says, that, as the Rebbe explains in the Maimer, that unholiness gets a very limited amount of energy. It's an effusion of external of the external energy. And it comes, and the energy that comes into the unholy is completely concealed in it. That's why you see the unholy. And that's why it could be unholy. Because its divine energy, its holy energy, its godliness is completely concealed. The analogy for the energy, the divine energy in unholiness is like here, which is also has energy from the person, but that energy is completely hidden. You don't feel, you're not in pain when you cut your hair, because its life, the life force that's in it is completely limited. The is only a very external aspect of it. Because the hair also comes through the skull. So that's the skull, which is a very thick substance, represents a further removal, the energy that's within, and then for it to get out, it has to penetrate through the skull. So by the time the energy penetrates through the skull, that life penetrates, in addition to it being very limited, but it also has the aspect of the tzimtzum of the golgolos, so it comes out completely limited, and therefore you don't feel it. The lachanikra b'shem nalama, therefore it's called concealed. Shuhapech inyin hadibur, the opposite of speech, which is giloy. He explains this, the idea, once we explain that unholy silences the holy, so now we can explain another meaning, another aspect that's brought in Reishis Chachma and also in the Zohar, that Elamti Dumia Chishesi, those words which represent silencing the holy. Ne'lamti Dumia Chishesi is Rosh Tevis Nida. Ne'lamti is the Nun, Dumia Dalid, Chishesi Hey Nida. And that represents the time of Golus. When in the time of Golus, as we say in Eicha, Yerushalayim is Lenida Hayasa. Yerushalayim is called the Nida. What's the significance of Nida? And also that B'Chorban Yerushalayim Nismalat Tzor. Unholiness, Tzor, is built through the Churban of Yerushalayim. You know that in what happened. Yeah, the Gemara talks about that, but going back into Chumash by Esav and Yaakov. So one Keshazek comes in Neufel, that the unholy is going to prosper when the holy is down. So we see that the Churban Yerushalayim being a Nida, leads to the building of the unholy. So the unholy takes its energy from Kedusha and in the process silences the holy, silences that dibur. The Nida is Nodhei. The word Nida is made up of these two things. Nodhei, meaning Pirush and Israchek Hahei Achrein D'Shem Me'ez Vav, Hainu Shehei Achrein D'Shem Havayis Sfiras HaMalchus B'chinas HaDibur Noide De Misrachek Me'ez Vav Shemer Al Amshachem L'mayla. By Deza Misal Mistat HaDibur K'De Isa B'Zoyar begin this parsha Hei Min Vav Chul Nelam T'Dimiyah. Begin this Talak Vav Min Hei Chul Dibur Is Alem. So what does this mean? That the Nod Hey means that the Hey, the final Hey of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which we spoke about in chapter 5 a little bit. We spoke about the process. Yud was Tzimtzum. Hey is the way the Mashpia assesses the Makabel. So it's the way the Makabel exists within the Mashpia, within God, before Tzimtzum. Then you have Vav is the Amshach, is the drawing down into Hey. Hey is Malchus. Hey, it represents the territory of the receiver, of the creation. So when the receiver is distanced, Nod Hey, when the Hey is moved, it moves away from what? From the Vav of Yud Ke Vav Ke, meaning from receiving from above. So that's the idea of Nida, the idea of being silenced. Yeah, there's no connection. Meaning you don't have the yisod. When you're missing the yisod, the connection, when you don't have the yisod, the achid b'shmai v'ara, when you're lacking the connection, meaning the hey and the vav have separated. So now you have the idea of nida. This is also, he says in the Ha'ara, the Rebbe brings in the Ha'ara test that la'asid lavi yadafka kol gadol v'kol kala. Nowadays, chassan and kala, you get married. The chassan is the one who does all the talking under the chuppah. The kala is quiet. But when Mashiach comes, lavi, then we're going to hear kol kala. That's when we hear kol kala is when Mashiach comes. That's when you. Some people not the kol gadol. You hear that sound because you're going to have the reunion of the hey and the vav. So when you have a separation of the hey and the vav, so the hey, so it's silence. The dibur is quiet. And we say move and shein the lam tidumia chesheisi yashtevis nida nod hey min vav who hepech in the kol tzviris hayisoid dachid b'shmai va'ara shemachaber avav shemayim za ima hey eretz malchus. וזהו גם העניין של ראש אין קול, שמצד זה שאין הבחינה דקול, דאחד בשמי וערה, היינו שאין המשוך זמידוס, איז וו במלכוס, איז ה' שזהו מצד שנוד, ההי מן הוו, אז אין עשה עניין של רישוס, ריש ואיני. Okay, so this ties up, this last paragraph ties the whole chapter 6 together and explains, again, as we said, why he brings in the idea of dibur, that the dibur is hidden. What does it have to do with the reish not having anything? So we explain that since when the unholy is getting energy, the hey and the vav are separated, there's no connection that causes it to be silenced. It's quiet. You don't see it. It's concealed. It's hidden. Because it's hidden, we'll work our way backwards. The fact that it's hidden means that there's no connection between the vav and the hey. Since there's no connection, the giver is not giving to the receiver, so therefore the receiver has nothing. So therefore the reish has nothing. Now, in Zion, we're going to get into what this means that the reish has nothing, the different aspects of the fact that unholy, that the reish possesses nothing. What does it mean that it possesses nothing? That we continue later. But following this introduction, the premise for it, to understand it, is the idea that the unholy silences the dibur, meaning that it severs in a way that connection between the giver and the receiver, the vav and the hey, which causes the silence, and therefore it has nothing.